Joining us now right here on the Rich Eisen Show from Yahoo Sports, which we have a new nice relationship with, as well as NFL Network, which I've had a relationship with for quite some time. He is none other than Nate Tice. Good to see you, Nate. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah, we have double synergy going on.
Well, we've got more than that, Nate. We have more than that. This makes me feel old. I'm not going to lie.
Oh,
This makes me feel old. Because
sure it does.
when NFL Network began, we were having coaches in the league when they were done with their season join NFL Network in roles of analyst, and Mike Tice was one. Nate, your dad was one. Unbelievable!
Wow,
dude,
2 generations.
And he was committed. Nate, he was committed, and to the point where he was committed to it, we knew because one time your dad was given like row 33, seat B on a flight to, I think, the Combine. And we were just thinking of him just like sitting there, like jammed into his seat. And he didn't say a word, not a boo or a peep. Mike Tice.
He man of the people. he kind of does that. It's the private complaints that he likes to do, just the subtle things. I think he realizes that, with a deep voice like that, everyone's like, even if he jokes around, everyone's like, wait, he's serious? And so he has to, I think his whole life he spent apologizing. So so I think he just learned, I'm never going to complain, because even when I'm joking about it, everyone thinks I'm about to rip their head off just because his voice is so deep.
Dude, I was on the business end of that early on in my career where I'm like, is he serious? Is he really pissed at me? I've really been there with your dad. So anyway, it's great to have you on this program, Nate, because, we don't do the all 22 stuff very much in terms of like drilling down deep. But I figured with what's going on with the Bears and other situations around the league, it would be great to have you on to sort of give us your thoughts on when you watched the Bears of the Shane Waldron 9-week era. What was wrong when you were looking at it, Nate?
What really stood out to me was how siloed the offense was. And what I mean by that is when they were in one formation, they were running one play. If they were in this formation, they were running that play. If they're under center doing this, they're going to run the ball. If they are doing this, they're going to pass the ball. And I think that in a league that's smarter than ever, especially with defenses, they pick up on tendencies. So using that silo term, it was just, I could see a lot of defenses just teeing off when they saw certain looks. They saw, oh, okay, this motion's happening. All right, I'm running full speed. Because now as the weeks go along, more film is out there. And so when you get smarter defenses, they're going to pick up on that stuff. Also mean just silo too, in a different sense, is that everything was so spread out. They lacked like condensed formations. And now condensed formations isn't just a big magic wand, but it coming from, Shane Waldron was last with Sean McVay. Well, he was with the Seahawks as offense coordinator, but before that, he had some Sean McVay influences from the Rams. And his offense and his offensive attack was so much different than everyone else from that tree. Not saying everyone should be a copycat, but those offenses really worked in unison. You look at the Vikings, you look at the Falcons right now, the Bucks right now, the Rams, obviously. All those offenses have a lot of motion, a lot of stuff working in unison with each other. Bootlegs, the screens off of bootlegs, the runs, all of it looks the same. With the Bears, it just never felt that way. It felt like they were just really always with a hand tied behind their back because they were just indicating so much to the smart defenses. So that's kind of really what stood out to me with there.
So hearing that, here's my follow-up question. And, I know you're not in the building, but when you just said Falcons, Vikings, Rams, Bucks, what do they all have in common? They've got veteran quarterbacks, or at least in the case of, Darnold and Mayfield drafted two spots apart. So Waldron's no dummy, So the question is was that siloed offense born out of the fact that the rookie might not be able to handle any more than what they were giving him? Nate.
It was the same thing when he was in Seattle, Waldron, when those offenses in Seattle, and some of that could be a little bit of quarterback preference. And, even Geno Smith kind of likes to attack the same way as Caleb Williams, but maybe a little because it's a rookie, but I would say what I've seen from Caleb Williams, you said I'm outside the building, but just trying to reverse engineer this stuff.
Of course.
When I watch Caleb Williams, I see a pretty advanced quarterback for a young player, someone that's almost trying to be too perfect. I think all of his sacks are coming from, him holding on to the ball, not because he's doing crazy creation stuff. It's him trying to be stubborn a little bit and going like, no, I'm a pocket passer and I'm going to go through my reads. Do not care if things are falling apart around me. I'm doing this. But when I watched him, even week 2 against the Texans, he's handling all the protections on the road, communicating with everyone, going full audible, and just, giving the term to somebody in no huddle situations. So to me, again, just kind of looking context clues. To me, that shows Caleb Williams had a pretty good understanding of what was going on. You don't see rookies handling protections like that. That's a pretty rare thing to see, like full control. So again, those are indicators that I'm like, Caleb Williams seems to have a pretty good knowledge of football and the playbook if he's able to do those things. So I think this was more a preference from Waldron of what he prefers to do, but maybe a little bit with Caleb stuff, just being a rookie quarterback, maybe can't execute all of it. But I do think Williams is like pretty advanced mentally.
Fascinating. Okay. So if you are Thomas Brown, what would you counsel him to do now that he's got the reins and he's got like 3 days to get it right before the Packers come into their house? What would you counsel Thomas Brown to do here, Nate?
Yeah, and I'm sure no one in Chicago is fired up about Packers game either.
That's right.
So I would say we're getting with Caleb Williams is go be loose, go play. He has been underrated even as a prospect from his pocket play, for his pocket abilities. Like I even thought some of the comparisons to Mahomes were a little unfounded because I thought it was more like Caleb played more like a young Drew Brees in the fact that he can do some things from the pocket. I would say it's great you're trying to do the advanced things and get to step 3 and step 4 in your progressions. Guess what? Guys aren't winning on routes. So just go 1 to 2 and do something. Create. We know Caleb Williams can do this. This is why he gets all those highlights. It's why he won a Heisman. Even if his in-pocket stuff has been underrated, he can get to that creation stuff. So I would just say you watch Drake May with a worse line going, 1, okay, I'm scrambling. Even if he can progress and can do the advanced mental stuff, he's learning, I just got to pull the ripcord and get out of here. I think Caleb Williams, and I appreciate the advanced play he's trying to show, pull the ripcord. Just go create some stuff out of structure because this is what this offense needs. And I think it would just loosen them up that, hey, I'm doing this and I'm doing these things and creating positive plays.
So you think the likelihood of this button push by Matt Eberflus working to the point where everything begins to get ironed out and the Bears can go on a playoff run with their highly talented first overall draft choice and all the weapons they have put around him? Like, so plan A can work with a plan B coordinator. Nate, what do you think?
Yeah. No, I think playoff run, I want to go that rich because, well, no pun intended, sorry. But I want to go that high.
Nice.
Because just the division they're in. And their schedule is just so tough on the back half of the year. Oh, look at that. You guys had it ready. So that I think is the one thing that's keeping me from saying playoff run. But I think, this is going to shake some, rattle some cages there. I think some of the personality stuff that's happening too, that I don't know if that is coaching and frustrations players had, frustrations with each other, the DJ Moore walking off the field. You can kind of just feel that seeping in. Maybe this kind of gives everybody a little bit of mouthwash, but I think it's just more like, hey, we got to get some good vibes. This is supposed to be a good vibes year here in Chicago, and it's turning into the year from hell, but they're still 4-6. I think this is just Thomas Brown's going to get an opportunity to do this. If he kind of just trims a lot of fat with this offense, tries not to do the whole siloed thing, I think they can at least get a productive year. And Caleb Williams is the franchise. You got to make sure his growth is as important as much as the wins that we have to rack up. So making sure that he is feeling comfortable and making best, I think that is the most important thing for Thomas Brown and really the Bears.
Yahoo Sports and NFL Network analyst and host of the Football 301 podcast, Nate Tice, here on the Rich Eisen Show. Anthony Richardson back in the saddle. What do you think of that move, and what have you seen on film and his all 22 that gave you pause for the Colts to pause?
I think the accuracy stuff is part of the symptom of how Richardson plays, and also this offense that is going to be it's an old kind of, or I should say, a new version of like an old Norv Turner offense where it's run the ball and then push it and launch stuff down the field. And I think Richardson is the extreme of that. So, the completion percentage stuff's never going to be great. I thought really the youngness that creeped up when you watch Richardson outside the helmet tap stuff was he just had a lot of operation errors as far as just simple mistakes, handing the ball off and fumbling, can't handle a snap in the red zone, getting a little too excited on a play, and then just kind of bouncing around and sailing to throw, which I thought was just more excitability and things that you want to, chop out of, hopefully before they start playing. but things that I thought I was like, hey, he's going to make mistakes. The Colts were projected to win 8.5 games this year. Like, were you guys really expecting to be contenders? So I would say, again, just like I said with Williams, I'd want him to get more reps. This guy needs game reps. Maybe taking a deep breath was good. They have a late bye week, so they never kind of got that natural deep breath that he could take. So I think this was a way to give him a bye week a little bit as things were starting to spiral a little bit for him, especially with the helmet tap again. But I think that this is a way he needs reps. He needs absolute reps. I'm still fairly high on Richardson because of just the highs that he can reach. But again, getting those reps will lift the floor up. And all right, now we can actually figure out what we have going forward and what we actually need going forward.
What are you seeing out of the Chiefs offense, Nate? Obviously a big game, 9-0 at 8-2 Buffalo. What are you seeing out of Kansas City midway through? A lot of folks think that clearly they're just lucking out to be 9-0. What do you think?
Embrace the boredom with the Chiefs. They are the offense, and I think the 2018 Chiefs and Mahomes' first year has warped what they think these Andy Reid offenses are. This is more like an Eagles Andy Reid offense. This is 4 or 5 yards in a cloud of dust. This is getting to 3rd and 4 and getting 5 yards and then giving a thumbs up and getting a new first down to do it all over again. So they are not getting any explosive plays, and they're fine with it. They are just defenses want to play soft against them. They want to worry about those deep balls. Well, okay, we'll just take another 4-yard gain, another 5-yard gain, another 6-yard gain. This is one of the best run games in the NFL, and they're getting Isaiah Pacheco back. That is just, it's remarkable. With no quarterback run game, they get some receiver runs in there. This is one of the most efficient run games in the entire NFL, bar none. And on top of that, you get the 3rd down, and you got this guy named Patrick Mahomes. So this is the formula for this team. They have a really good defense that can stop the run. They themselves can run the ball because they have a really good interior trio of offensive linemen that they're just running behind. They get those 5 yards. They dare defenses to do something crazy. And when they do, Mahomes just gashes them. So I just embrace the boredom. I think with this team, it's a brutally efficient offense with, one most special quarterbacks right now, or all time, I should say, with a really good defense. That's complementary football from the Chiefs. They're not lucking out. This is just a good team.
So you're unconcerned, and so DeAndre Hopkins scoring multiple touchdowns in a game, that's a cherry on top, is basically what you're saying.
Yep, and it just helps everybody else. Hopkins be able to play on ball loosens up. Xavier Worthy's been a little underwhelming. He has to play off the ball. He has to be in motion. Travis Kelce at this state in his career, and really a lot of times he has to be off the ball or in motion. DeAndre Hopkins' greatest strength is his literal strength, and that is that he can line up on the ball and can beat press. He doesn't need to be in motion. He doesn't need a stack alignment or any window dressing to get open. But it gives even with his outside of his own production, it provides a booster effect on everybody else. So like you said, it's a cherry on top because even before the Hopkins trade, this offense was cooking. Every stat I look at, eye test and everything, it just isn't explosive. It's just a very efficient one. Now they got Hopkins, who kind of is a nice, okay, get out of jail free card, whenever they want to drop it, break glass in case of emergency, just throw it up to Hopkins. Yeah, it's a very nice cherry on top for the defending.
Speaking of cooking, Nate Tice, or smelting as we've been calling it, because he's now in Pittsburgh. 3 games for Russell Wilson, and it sure looks like the Russell Wilson we saw in Denver and the last year in Seattle is not the guy that the Steelers are starting right now. It's the old school Russ. What are you seeing on the all-22 there that gives you confidence that the Steelers can, in fact, go on this run that starts with the Ravens? What a game.
Yeah, really good game. Even before getting to Russ, getting Zach Frazier back, their rookie center, who is I'll predict right now is going to be a future All-Pro. He's phenomenal out of West Virginia. Their right guard that they have, their rookie Mason McCormick, has been playing really well. Isaac Sumalo, their left guard, has come back from injury and has looked good. So it's an Arthur Smith offense. They're going to pound the rock first. They're going to pound the rock second. And then once in a while, they'll play action and launch a ball. So it's the perfect type of offense that Russell can be in. It's like an early Seahawks offense. It's like the offense he played in at Wisconsin when we were teammates together, actually. But this is the preferred offense for Russ. He throws a beautiful deep ball, which we have seen The passing game is a high variance thing for this offense. That's by design, and Russ can provide that. And he's just making smart decisions, not putting the ball in harm's way. It's touchdown to check down, and then they're just going to pound it with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. And, I would too when you have a 280-pound tight end to run behind Darnell Washington. Like, this is just a strength team. They're going to run it, and then Russ throws a beautiful moon ball. I think this game against the Commanders last week was like the perfect example of exactly what they are. Fun game, though, against the Ravens, who can stop the run really well.
Were you in the same quarterback room as Russ in Madison?
I was.
You were?
I was.
What was that like?
What was that like? It was great. We were roommates. We won a lot of games. So it was awesome. Yeah, he beat me out in about 3 plays. He transferred in.
Yes.
I never knew I had a shot. I was like, he got it. This is easy. He's got that.
Are you serious? He transfers in and you're like, I know where's my clipboard? Is that what you're saying?
I've been, and I kind of knew that anyways, but I've been in, he doesn't choose between Auburn and Wisconsin to be a backup. When he transferred, no, but seriously, being around the league and being around the NFL for a while, kind of knowing what an NFL arm is, it was like 3 plays were in 7-on-7, and then he threw a beautiful moon ball, just like it was almost like the Mike Williams one.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do that. And he runs like a 4.5 40. Yeah, he's got it. I don't care if he's 5'11. Like, this is amazing. And we ended up having an amazing year that year. It was a lot of fun. I'll tell you that.
Yahoo's Nate Tice here on the Rich Eisen Show. All right, before I let you go, Nate, what a huge game Thursday night here. The Commanders and the Eagles. Let's take the home team first here, because Jalen Hurts has been playing out of his skull ever since they came back from the bye. The 2-2 start is a thing of the past. What are you seeing that makes you think this is sustainable? This isn't just them eviscerating lesser opponents, that now that they're meeting rubber and road, that they can keep doing what they're doing offensively, Nate?
Yeah, offensively, they realize that Saquon Barkley is really good, and they should give him the ball a lot. The strength of this team's the offensive line. I mean, A.J. Brown's is special. Devontae Smith is a very good player. Dallas Goedert as well when he's healthy. It's, hey, when things go rough, let's not run RPOs. Let's not run a read option play. Let's just get under center and pound the rock. Like that. This is why we paid Saquon Barkley. This is why we have Jeff Stoutland in this offensive line. This is what they lean behind. And I think they just, again, another offense that stripped away some fat and just became more direct. And that's what the Eagles can do because they have so much talent. They don't need as much window dressing as other teams. They can do this. And it's kind of nice to see them. All right, let's stop doing some read element with Jalen Hurts. Let's streamline his game. It's either run or pass. I've been kind of saying this offense needed to separate church and state. No RPOs, no read elements, just run or pass. And now they're doing that because they can overwhelm so many defenses. And Commanders' defense isn't the greatest. They play hard, but they give up a lot of explosive plays. And the other side of the ball, I'm really excited about too. Commanders' offense, Eagles' defense should be a doozy as well.
All right, so what do you see there? I mean, because Jaden Daniels, I mean, he's a pleasure to watch when you're just sitting on your couch and have the remote in your hand. What's it like for you to dissect what you're seeing from him?
I mean, fast players are always fun, and he's accurate. He doesn't make a lot of bad decisions. That's been really impressive to me. And this is what you kind of got told about him, was that he was a hard worker. He was smart. He played a lot of games in college, and he's taken to this offense. Like Cliff Kingsbury really impressed me. I was really low on him when he was leaving Arizona. Now coming back and just kind of this offense that can get to so much out of up tempo, that can run the ball really well. This is actually the best in terms of success rate running the ball, not including quarterback runs. And then Daniels just doesn't make a lot of mistakes. They're hyper efficient. They block really well. The offensive line's done a really nice job, and the receivers will do a lot of dirty work too. So it's just a very efficient offense that, just when you think you can creep up on them, there's Jane Daniels running on third and long or launching a double move to Terry McLaurin. So I've been impressed with them. The Eagles defense, though, I've been super impressed with. Vic Fangio is a good coach. Who knew? But they got some really good young players. Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell in the defensive back room are both defensive rookie of the year candidates. Milton Williams has really stepped up in more of an extended role this year. I really like him. And then Zach Bond has just been a revelation. Go Badgers, another Wisconsin guy. But he's been a revelation, this defense. So the Eagles defense is really a top 5 defense. This is like a top 5 offense, top 5 defense type of matchup that we get to watch on Thursday night. So I'm pretty stoked about it.
Well, Nate, this has been a lot of fun. I guess 2 more things. Just to bring it all full circle, I'm going to ask you a question that's impossible to answer. How's that as a setup? But you mentioned Cliff Kingsbury. If he had been hired by the Bears, do you think Caleb would be struggling at 4-5 right now, Nate?
I think he'd feel a lot more confident. Yeah, I think he'd be doing a lot better. The floor would be a lot higher. Kingsbury's offenses, I have to see how the second half of this year goes. Like some of the stuff isn't the most complex. It's really well designed though. So I think the floor is so much higher than even I maybe gave it credit for this offense. And I think that would have helped at Caleb Williams to be able to just get a lot of quick hitters, a lot of easy buttons. I sometimes use the word training wheels. That can be derogatory sometimes, but as a rookie quarterback, they need training wheels. It's hard. It's hard to play quarterback, especially as a rookie. So I absolutely think that at least that floor would be a lot higher than whatever they are in any stat you look at, 28th in the Bears offense and everything they look at right now, because the Commanders players are playing a lot of their best ball of their career, and that usually speaks to the coaching.
You got something, TJ, before we send Nate Tice into his Thursday? TJ Jefferson?
Do have something, and Rich, Nate, how you doing? This is a story that's going to make Rich feel very happy because he loves when I do this. So I'm friends with a guy named Ashton Kutcher, and back years ago, he's a huge Bears fan, and years ago he somehow got to know your dad. They became text message buddies. So the year's 2012. It's September of 2012. I'm going to Chicago for the first time. I'm going to go see Prince at the United Center on a Monday. So Ashton hooks me up with your dad, and he gets me tickets to go watch the Bears play the Rams that Sunday. So I go to my first Bears game. I sat in a row. I sat next to your mom and some of your other family members. So I just wanted to say, man, it was just strange that you were coming on, and I wanted to share that story with you. And also I want to compliment you. A few weeks ago, you did a breakdown on the Lions when they curb stomped the Cowboys, and you showed how the Lions have this play where it's a no count. They just get to the line, snap the ball, and
cheetah count.
That made me feel a little bit better about how bad the Cowboys were at that point. So I want to thank you for that. Now that feeling has passed because I realize how bad they are. But so those two things I just wanted to share with you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I know exactly where those seats are too.
Nice.
Last time I sat there, Vince Vaughn was the special flag waiver, and he didn't realize that the thing was torn. And I think he was on, maybe a couple of beverages in them. And so that's my last memory of those seats, is seeing Vince Vaughn not know how to wave a flag as he was trying to pump up the crowd. But that's awesome to hear. I'm so glad. Not about the Cowboys defense. I'm sorry about that. About that.
In that regard, Nate, why don't you ask him why he's surrounded by balloons and flowers? Why don't you go ahead and ask him that?
Why are you surrounded by my son's second birthday was this way. Glad you guys got it.
That's not why.
There was a 7-foot troll in the National Basketball Association named Carl Anthony Towns, who's an Eagles fan, and he came on here. We got to be cool. He knows I'm a Cowboy fan, so of course that started, and he's just been really letting me have it since the Cowboys have been stinking. And this was his gift.
Yep. All the flowers. Yep. 34 flowers. 34. Because the Eagles had 34 points and the Cowboys had 6.
Then he was nice enough to send
it's interesting.
6 blue.
Yeah. There you go. For 6. There you go.
The 6 that the Cowboys.
That's it. There you go. There you go.
And to top it off, he dropped 40-something points last night.
By the way,
too.
46.
46.
He was foreshadowing
I'm a Timberwolves fan,
the number of points he had. Oh, by the way, Bulls came up with a big W last night. That was a fun game to watch.
You said you were a T-Wolves fan today, so
I am. So I'm missing Carl Anthony Towns right now. I'm not gonna lie. So
well,
I love my Anthony Edwards though.
Why not? Hey Nate, this was a blast. Really appreciate it. It also helps begin to solidify the relationship between this show and Yahoo Sports, and greatly, like I said, appreciate the time. Look for more of our calls.
Thank you for having me on. This was fun.
You got it. Right back at you. That's Nate Tice. Everybody check out his Football 301 podcast and all of his work on Yahoo and NFL Network. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.